This was a story that came in last night, which was really kismet because we had planned, Jose, to have you on the show a few days ago. And turns out there was an intervention of sorts that happened last night at a White House press event. And so here is a tweet that came out last night, and it has gone pretty viral already. This is from Alish Joshi on Twitter. I just mustered up, she says, every ounce of courage to interrupt White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre and urge the Biden administration to stop approving new coal, oil, and gas projects. The climate crisis is here now. POTUS, listen to Gen Z scientists and frontline communities. Okay, so that was the tweet. Now we're going to play the video of this quote-unquote intervention, and you'll see what we're talking about, putting that in quote marks in just a few minutes. But first, let's see the video that was attached to that tweet.
Excuse me for interrupting, but asking nicely hasn't worked out. 1 million young people wrote to the administration pleading not to approve a disastrous oil drilling project in Alaska, and we were ignored. So I'm here channeling the strength of my ancestors and generation. Will the administration stop approving new oil and gas projects and align with youth, science, and frontline communities from the North Slope of Alaska to Louisiana?
First of all, I appreciate your courage. And what I'll say to you, and all you have to do, and I know you're speaking about a particular project, and I get that, I understand that.
You have approved multiple projects since then, and more at a faster rate than the Trump administration. We need you to act on your campaign promises.
Declare a climate emergency.
No.
Which side are you on now?
Please respond. Please respond.
I was trying to, and I'm happy to respond. So look, this is an administration, and if you look at this president, you look at the action that he's taken, he has taken more action on climate change than any other president. He has an ambitious policy. He has.
That's true. You know, blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline was the biggest carbon bomb in human history. And so he has taken action. He's also approved the Willow Project, which is the biggest drilling project issued in the history of federal land. So when you're right, you're right. He has taken action. Let's hear the rest.
And I don't think you can deny that. I think you could agree with everything that he's put forward and he has done. And there's always more work to be done. He's going to continue to be ambitious. He's going to continue to take action. And that is something that he has promised during his campaign and will continue to do so. I'm happy to have this conversation with you outside of this speaking event at this time. But we can talk through all that he has done and all he wants to continue to do. And we can also listen to you and listen to what you have brought forth right now. But it's okay, guys. I want her to,
This is, yeah, okay, so you can see there she got pretty good treatment from Karine Jean-Pierre there. Now, I know a lot of people on Twitter are commending this girl for her courage. And look, you know, we don't want to bully anybody right now, right? We have the censors crawling up our ass, so we want to be very, very respectful. You know, she's a lovely young person. We really believe in her right to get up and say whatever she wants. And so that's all fine. This is nothing personal against her. But it is public information here on her Twitter that she is a labor organizer and executive director of Gen Z for Change, current executive director of Gen Z for Change, which is a nonprofit collective of Gen Z activists leveraging the power of social media to drive progressive change. So if we go to Influence Watch, which keeps track of who these different organizations actually are, let's read a little bit about Gen Z for Change. Gen Z for Change is a left-of-center political advocacy organization that promotes Democratic Party campaigns and left-of-center causes through a network of social media influencers who have large online followings. The group was founded as TikTok for Biden TikTok for Biden, not TikTok for change, TikTok for Biden during the 2020 election, and was organized with the goal of promoting Joe Biden's 2020 presidential campaign on emerging social media platform TikTok. The group since rebranded as Gen Z for Change and continued to lend support to Democratic campaigns during 2021 U.S. Senate runoff elections in Georgia and the 2021 Virginia gubernatorial race being run by longtime Clinton ally, enemy of the left flank of the party, Terry McAuliffe, by the way. The group also partnered with Anthony Fauci to promote the COVID vaccine rollout and worked with Georgia Democratic gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams' group, Fair Fight. What a radical organization this is. The group has also become a stakeholder group in the Biden administration and made headlines when its influencers received a private briefing from the White House on its response to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So here's Elise with Obama. Here's Elise with Bill Clinton, right? No disrespect to her, but she's no Jose Vega, right? This was not the same thing. And we have an expert on interventions here with us today to vet this. You vetted this immediately. And, you know, it seems like what this is a theatrical presentation of sorts, right? You could say the whole thing was staged to begin with. It may not have been staged literally in the sense that Karine Jean-Pierre knew she was going to stand up, but they obviously let her into the room. They obviously know who this person is. It wasn't like you went in there and stood up and started giving them shit. They obviously know who these people are. They are very, very tight with the White House, so they must obviously be tight with the press team as well, especially since they are a sort of social media unofficial arm of the White House. It's kind of how they've been serving. And so this was not the organic expression of genuine Gen Z unrest that it was made out to be, and it has a couple million views. I suspect the real goal of this is to function as more or less a sheep herding operation, where we say, hey, look, you know, the youngsters are making noise. They're making their voices heard. They're expressing dissatisfaction with Biden in certain areas, but look how responsive the White House is. Look how nice they were to her. Look, they're going to pull her in. They're going to have a conversation. They've had numerous conversations. This is a Democrat-aligned, insider-aligned group. And so you were on this from minute one. What's your take on that? First of all, I would like to get your take on the difference between how she was received and how you would have been received if you had stood up and made a similar argument. Now, you wouldn't have made a similar argument. You're a lot louder than she would have been.
KJP KJP would have herself came down from the stage and tackled me to the ground. I think I don't know how to even begin to kind of take this down. You have to. Well, first I'll talk about the effect that I think this is going to have versus the interventions that Kynan and I have had. The interventions that Kynan and I have had have gone viral internationally. And the reason that's important is because the message we try to put out there is an international message that we attempt to resonate with the world. And it does resonate with the world because I like to think we're expressing a frustration that the entire world sees, not just with the United States, but with the entire Western kind of orientation around bullying other countries around the world. This is only going to go viral here domestically. I don't think China cares. I don't think Russia certainly doesn't care about any kind of propaganda that makes the White House look good. See, because that's what this is, right? The White House knows about the power of the kind of anti-establishment messaging, right? And they don't even need to see me and Kynan and others to know that kind of effect because they saw it in AOC, right? AOC's whole anti-establishment, taking out the corrupt, establishment Democrat, that worked. That got her into that position of power, I don't believe they wanted her in. They got her in and they corrupted her. Boom. That's it. End of story with her. So they know that they're losing the Gen Z vote. They know that they're not looking good. They know that the popularity with Biden is dropping. So they needed to come up with a way to say, okay, well, how do we make the Biden administration look good while acknowledging the frustration that exists with our voter base while still coming out on top, right? Exactly. It's not a hard thing to kind of think about. And so whoever the the marketing person was who did this, right? Must have had some kind of degree in marketing and probably worked for OSS or something, you know, because like they're saying, no, let's take the interventions that have gone viral and let's make one ourselves. Now, coming to her personally, she probably didn't know that, how do I put this? She was probably nudged by some upper level person in her team or somebody on KJP's team who took her to the side and said, hey, you should like stand up and do this. Like, let's talk about this. Yeah, just say these points. Do it. Yeah, it can go viral. It'll really like show, you know, what the Biden administration is lacking and why Gen Z is so powerful. And she probably took it and ran with it. So I do believe she believes what she said. She probably wasn't in on it in the sense that like she was like, okay, we're going to stage this and go viral because of everything I just said. She probably wasn't on that end. She was just probably told you should do this because it's going to make Gen Z look really good. And she did. And so I do believe she was sincere in what she did. But no, man, this whole thing reeks of like psyop of trying to use the method that has been popularized in the last year to try and make the White House look good. And I think what she needs is to be exposed, like what you did with showing the pictures of her meeting Obama and others. And then there's more too. I mean, she's been to the White House countless times. Right.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And listen, we're not picking on her. We're just talking about the organization, right? Gen Z for Change started out as TikTokers for Biden. This is a pro-Biden influencer organization. They've been to the White House several times. They've been in comms meetings with the White House about the Ukraine war, which, you know, look, Jimmy has talked about this. A lot in our space have talked about this. I don't want to take credit for this idea, but if you're not a dissenter on that, you have no credibility on climate. You know, and that, look, first of all, the United States military is the number one polluter in the world as its own institution. That's number one. Number two, the Nord Stream pipeline, which you have spoken a lot about, Jose, and you have busted a lot of balls about, that was the greatest carbon bomb in human history. The methane gas that was released from that was more than any other human-caused event in the history of the world. So you add the Willow Project plus Nord Stream, you're talking about a climate record that is perhaps even worse than George W. Bush's climate record. The Bush White House, which censored its own EPA to take the words climate change out of the reports. People don't remember that the Bush administration did that because the story broke in July and August of 2001, 6 weeks before they got a convenient distraction from that, right? Obviously. But this could perhaps be worse than that. I mean, he could not only be a disappointing climate president, he is perhaps the worst climate president in history. And so how do they clean that up? How do they clean that up? They clean that up by what? The same way Obama, you know, tried to restore hope and change. It wasn't by doing anything, but by bearing witness, right? I bear witness to the plight of the workers. I understand. I feel your pain. That was Bill Clinton's thing. I feel your pain, right? I feel your pain. What are we going to do? We're going to hear you out, Gen Z. We're going to hear you out, right? And so it makes the White House look good that, you know, Karine didn't boot her out of the room, you know. She's this sort of mild-mannered girl. She stands up. She gives a very dignified presentation, and the White House says, yeah, no, we'll talk. It makes the Biden White House look good. And I think that was by design. I think you're right. It's hard not to reach that conclusion given what we know about the organization. Literally started TikTokers for Biden.
Yeah, Kynan said that if this was not a staged intervention, right? Like if it really was an organic thing, it was a missed opportunity because she could have said, you know, we won't endorse the White House unless they do something for addressing climate change. Right?
I mean, that's what makes me think it was at least staged in the sense that we're talking about, right? Was it staged in the fact that she knew exactly how Jean-Pierre was going to react? No, but it was definitely staged to a certain extent. Like they each knew who the other person was. Nobody was caught completely off guard by this, and the White House press team knew how they were supposed to take this. And they took it that way. Whereas if somebody comes in there and actually catches them off guard the way you would, I mean, you'd have been dragged out of there, like you've been dragged out of all of these.
And they don't say anything either. They don't say, "Well, I appreciate your courageous stance."
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, right. And then the worst part was the reactions from other people. This guy Maxwell Frost, I love him so much. I'm trying my best to make sure you stay monetized. I love him so much.
We have to be very positive. We have to pivot we have to do more positive messaging on the show now.
He's such a great congressman. You know, he put something out. He said, like, yeah, man, I really like this action that they took. You know, this is the kind of fire and fury. No, he said, speaking truth to power is often not easy. So I definitely encourage this kind of action. We all should be like Elise. It's like, you know, I'm trying.
Exactly. Hey, what am I over here? What am I? Exactly.
Please clap.